I'm very happy to have you guys on stage because this is exactly what Radio Days Europe are for. Getting great examples, great insights, coming back home, you guys, with great ideas and things that you can have in mind to transform your program, to get inspired by the best examples in the market you are not exposed to. So I'm very happy to first give the floor to Alexandra, then Yuska, then Laure. Alexandra, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. My name is Alexandra Milinkovic-Dadic, and today I tell you everything I know about how to attract young listeners and how to create a new generation of radio enthusiasts. I know it sounds like SF movie because we are talking about very complicated generation who grow up with smartphones and social media, but there is a way how to engage children into the radio stations. So Mathieu told me last week that I need to tell something about myself. I have 15 years experience in radio industry. I was a program producer on AC radio station Antena Zagreb. I was radio host on CHR radio station Enter Zagreb for almost 10 years. I was a part of one most important and most popular radio station in Croatia, Bravo. I was radio host in Drive Time. And now I'm here to talk about Bravo Kids, first children's radio station in Croatia as program director.
Bok, ja sam Maša i ja sam najveća zvijezda na Bravo Kidsu. Nisam danas mogla biti ovdje jer sam morala biti u školi. Ali zato sam poslala Alex. Uživajte u prezentaciji. Pozdrav svima iz Zagreba!
I know, she's so cute. I will tell you more about Masha and her feature later. So, for start, a brief introduction about us. We start as an internet channel, and yes, and last year we became available on DAB+ platform, Spotify, Radio Player and Bravo application, and Bravo website. Our slogan is songs we grew up with, and when we talk about our target audience, we talk about children age 2 to 7, and it's very important to say how Bravo Kids is connected to Bravo. The idea was that Bravo, AC adult radio station, is here for their parents, and Bravo Kids is here for their children. So, when we talk about visual identity, as I said, Bravo Kids is connected to Bravo. So, why do you think why we choose snail as our logo? Okay, the party was good last night, I see. So we use letter B from Bravo, okay? And then Bravo also look like snail. It's a magic, I know. Harry Potter who? So when we talk about our goals, do you know how many messages we receive from parents who are thanking us for existing? Is there any parents in the audience, maybe? Okay, I'm not a parent myself, but I have lots of friends who are parents, and they said that traveling with the kids in a car is a nightmare sometimes, and they do anything just to keep them quiet. So yes, last night, actually, one dad wrote us on Instagram. They were traveling to the seaside for 5 hours, and their child was silent entire way. So that's our goal, to make life easier for parents as much as possible. And of course, we want to get children used to listening to the radio station, because today they're listening Bravo Kids, and tomorrow they will tune in into our sister station, Bravo. When we talk about our program, we have 3 main characters, sister and a brother. Brother Speedy, Snail Speedy, and his sister, Snail Freckly. We also have Bravo Auntie. Bravo Auntie has no visual identity. She's an adult who reads good morning and bedtime stories. And we have educational program and entertaining program. When we talk about educational program, there is a special shows where kids learn about current events such as Olympic Games, European Football Championship, spring, summer, and they also learn English.
Crvena je jagoda.
Correct answer. Točan odgovor. Crvena se na engleskom kaže red. Ponovi za mnom.
Red.
And there is also entertaining, which includes, of course, features, storytelling, and music. Music only for kids.
Volim se gibat, gibat, voliš se. Kad si sretan, lupi dlanom ti od dlan.
So when we start thinking about our content, the idea was to create something enjoyable for both, for parents and the children. So here we are.
Hey, Berzi, wake up!
What day is it, Pjegice?
It's the first day of spring!
That means that the bears are awake just like me?
But our dad is still sleeping his winter sleep.
What else are the first signs of spring?
Birds singing, butterflies, bees.
And we'll see our mom going to the gym.
Oh, we're never gonna see that.
So now it's okay. Dad is awake, mom is in the gym, everything is perfect. So as I already mentioned, features are part of the entertainment program. We have 2 features on Bravo Kids. You can do anything in Croatia without celebrities. So feature number 1 is famous stories and storytellers. Famous people from Croatia reads good morning and good night stories. While some celebrities might not be familiar to parents, to children, but parents know who certain singers, musicians, and athletes are. I'm sure everybody wants that their favorite celebrity reads stories for their children. And feature number 2 is big question from little ones. We have 7-year-old girl named Masha. You saw Masha on the beginning of our presentation. She records interview with famous people from Croatia.
Bravo, kids!
Jel znate koliko godina pjevate?
25. Koliko bi ti meni dala godina?
29?
Pa to, kužiš. A ja 25 pjevam. Pa nema smisla. Sve to krivo. Taj kalendar ti je jako čudan. Ja to uopće niš ne kužim.
Ali vi izgledate ko Barbie.
Pa kužiš, znam.
Tako mlad.
Svi ste mi ovo čuli. Hvala ti, ljubavi, hvala ti. Ja ti se osjećam tako. Ja isto mislim da barbike ne mogu biti tak stare.
Mislim da je veća hrabrost u biti tako stati pred ljude i zaplakati, pustiti emocije i da to ljudi više cijene, tako da ako neko ima potrebu plakati, slobodno može on plakati, tako da to je okej.
Dečki, onda smijete plakati.
Da, tako je.
Velika pitanja malih ljudi.
Yeah, every time we publish a new interview with Masha, we got a lot of PR in the media because celebrities are more open and honest with Masha when with adult journalists. So also we are listening in home. You can listen Bravo Kids in home, in your car. And now we are really popular in kindergarten. Recently we launched a campaign in which we donate DAB+ radios. So the idea was to create a new generation, as I said, of radio enthusiasts. So we do that campaign with our partners. Do you know how much this campaign costs us? We donate like 100 DAB+ radios across Croatia. €0, because partners were thrilled to have someone who helped them to expand the DAB+ network, and we are creating a new generation of listeners. So that was like win-win situations for both of us. So you must be wondering, why are we doing all of this? What is the benefit of our program? So happy and satisfied listeners. They have media platform that cares about their children's development and education. We are creating a new niche for our sales department, which of course includes Hire InU. We attract new listeners, those who previously didn't listen to the radio station, and we launch a new campaign beyond traditional radio advertising. For example, we organized last December a big Christmas concert for our loyal listeners with famous Croatian musician. And if you ask me as program director, favorite messages and favorite benefits are messages from parents. For example, I think that they are the strongest confirmation that we are doing a great job. Actually, this is a message from mom whose child has communication problems and child starts speaking during listening to our program. So that's our goal, to have the power to make a new generation, to have a strong and positive impact on new generations to come. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Alexandra. You can save your questions because we will have time for a Q&A at the end of this session. Thanks again. I want you to bring back some plushies of your snail because I want my Bravo snails in my office right now. So I need a plush.
I will send you one.
Thank you. All the room will be interested too.
Okay.
It will not be a zero-cost operation.
Okay.
From the little ones to a new terra incognita, I want to welcome you, our wanderer in the field of what is a teenager today. Please welcome on stage Mr. Juska Wendland from Ule X. Juska is a radio host and is also a researcher in a very particular field of research. So I know that you have a very specific and very special way to explain your work. I think you will be more than energized by what's going to happen today.
All right. Thank you. I'm super happy to be here. I'm super happy that you are all here because it means that we have all conquered the final boss of Radio Days, which was the free wine yesterday. I'm Juska. I'm working for Finnish National Broadcaster, and I'm also a doctoral student researching the sense of community in podcasts. So I'm basically doing my work on two different fields. I have the academic field, which you can see on the left, and then on the right you can see basically me coming together with my listener community, which was happening for the first time on large scale on my 15th anniversary of my radio show. I've been now running my radio show for 17 years, and this was the first time that they could come on the large scale together, which was magical both for them and for me. But basically my research is about this question, like how can we create a sense of community when our audience is not present in the same time? And even though this presentation has this kind of like topic of which is about children, I think like this, all this participation and sense of community, it spans through all ages. So no matter if you're working with youngsters like I am, or if you're working with older people, everything works the same with all of them. But if you compare the radio, when people are listening to the radio, they are simultaneously present. It's really easy to create this kind of like sense of community there. But when you're listening to podcasts, people are listening in them on different times. It's really hard to create a sense of community. And this is in the focus of my research. I think like all of us professionals, we have been hearing numerous presentations where we have been told that we shouldn't do radio or we shouldn't do audio, preaching from the ivory tower to our audience, but we should be on the same level and we should take the audience to our programs and we should chat with them and so on. And we have been doing this for decades. And suddenly now, in the age of podcasts, this has gone back. And if you're listening to podcasts, there are very few podcasts that actually engage with the audience on a regular level. Most of them are just like two people speaking in the studio and there's no audience voice present. And I think like we should turn this around because there's a huge potential. This is from my first article. It's well, not my quote, but like I used this quote on my first article that many successful podcasts become more successful when they engage with their audience. So, of course, there are like lots of podcasts which are successful and not doing this, but there's certainly a way to get more attention to your podcast if you're engaging with your audience in a way or another. So, how do we do this? How can we turn this around? I have been making two models for this. And the first one is this. I know, especially you who are back there, this is really hard to read and hard to see. No problem. I'm gonna give you something which makes it much easier. But I've been creating a model of 6 enhancers of sense of community in podcasts. And I can guarantee you, if you use these 6 enhancers in your podcast, you're gonna make it better in the audience connection than what it is at the moment. And the second model that I've been creating is this. So with this model, you can actually measure the audience interaction level in your podcast, and it includes tools to make it better in the audience interaction. And now you're frustrated, like, why didn't I talk more about this? Because I could talk an hour about these two and I don't have the time. But this is the slide that you should be photographing now. Because you go and Google these things and like, these are scientific articles. They are peer-reviewed. They are open access, so you can download them as PDFs. You can take them to your airplane. You can fall asleep with them super easy. So this is like perfect material on your way home. So go on and use this. But always when I give this presentation, there are people who are saying like, hey, because not everyone wants to participate. And this is definitely true. Only very few of your audience wants to take the extra step and contribute something to your show. But this is the thing, you only need a handful of them. You only need like 10 people who are contributing to your show. And that creates, when you're doing it correct, it creates a snowball effect. And out of those 10 people, by the time and by the work that you're doing, grows a movement. And this is what we should be doing. Because participation is power. And when you're a radio host or a podcast host, you have that power. And I think we should give that power away to our audience. That they should have the power to change everything in the show. I don't know what kind of shows you are representing here, but this is an interesting game of thought that what kind of show would that be if your audience could choose everything in it? Music, all the segments, everything would come from the audience. And how would it change that? When you're doing that, no matter on what level, you should always reward the contributors. You should make them the heroes of your show. The host should be like secondary in that equation. Because if your audience creates the content, it's always relevant. And that's the kind of awful thing for us hosts, that it's often more relevant than what we can create. And that's why we should take that more into account. What do they have to offer for our shows? But it requires from the host a lot. You need to create it and you need to perspective it really, really well for it to work. Like I said, I've been running my radio show on Friday night at Yle X for 17 years. And these are the things that my audience can do or can change on a weekly basis. Basically, first of all, they can choose all the tracks that are being played on the show. Then we have a real-time voting system that we get data instantly how these tracks are resonating with the audience. Then the audience can send voiceovers they can send WhatsApp voice messages, but I also cloned my voice with an AI. And the audience could send text prompts, and then my AI voice would speak them. So they basically made me say what they thought would be relevant on the show. Then they are providing visuals. I'll show you an example in a moment. They are interacting with each other in a WhatsApp group, which is creating constant new content for me to use on the live show. They are requesting mixes and tracks from their favorite artists and bringing them to the show. And they are even making their own mashups and remixes and tracks, which they are sending to the show, which gives me exclusive content, which is not being played anywhere else. And this whole show is their crazy platform. It has become their creative platform to go crazy every Friday night. And I'm just a curator. I'm not in the center of that show, but they are. I have 4 examples, or I had 4 examples for you, but somehow this video, what I had was like the system, maybe it had a bit too much wine yesterday evening, because this doesn't work. It's kind of like, when I press play, it doesn't work. I'm quickly telling what would have been in it. I'm receiving song requests as videos, and one woman was actually climbing in Greece and sent that like 50 meters from the ground, her video requesting, telling that her blood sugar is now low, so she would like to hear Pendulum's Blood Sugar, which was like perfect voiceover, perfect content. Everyone was thrilled, like, whoa, what is going on? I didn't need to say a word. Perfect voiceover, and press play for the song and waiting for the next contribution to come. So yeah, this doesn't work, we'll skip it. This is the example of the real-time track voting system that I was talking about. So every time that in my show a new track is being played, it appears here and people can give it thumbs up or down, which gives us in real-time information how these tracks are working for the audience. It has been a game changer for me as a host and someone who wants to like create and bring good content to the audience, and also for them. Then they can also give material created by AI. And as you can see, my hairline has never looked as good as created by AI. So this is definitely something that creates also like fun content made with AI for people to share with each other, and I'm just a creator who chooses like, okay, this will be shown to the people. And then finally this, which is my studio. We have been talking on this year's Radio Days a lot about visualized podcasts, and this has been my experiment in a green screen studio with graphics created with Unreal Engine. This is the background, and I've been now giving you lots of examples of like how I'm changing the content, how my show sounds like. But I started to think like, would there be a way that the audience could change the visuals in real time? Also, they could change how the show looks like in real time. So what we did was an AI visual system. You can see that studio now in the upper right corner there. And basically what you're about to see, there are subtitles, but there's a lot happening here. People are sending prompts via WhatsApp to me, and I'm choosing the best prompts and then putting them to the AI, which is generating that stuff in real time.
Kuuntelet ja toivottavasti katselet Yle X:n perjantai-iltaa, jossa ollaan legendaarisen äärellä. Kaikki nämä visuaalit, mitä tällä hetkellä näet, on livenä generoituja tekoälyvisuaaleja teidän lähettämien promptien pohjalta. Ja noita prompteja laittoi muun muassa Matti tämän Robots Marching to Finland, jonka tällä hetkellä näet. Ja niitä voi laittaa WhatsAppin välityksellä tähän suuntaan. Ja niin tekee muun muassa Kaisa, joka ehdottaa nähtäväksi Massive Rave in a Big Airplane, joka me laitetaan ehdottomasti. Tää kuulostaa siis niin perjantai-illalta, että tää on pakko laittaa välittömästi promptautumaan tänne näin. Ja kerrottakoon samalla, kun se sinne tulee, että äänestys on auki osoitteessa utml.fi juuri nyt. Käy siellä kurkkimassa, mikä on tällä hetkellä äänestystilanne, joka muuten näyttää tällä hetkellä todella tasaiselta. Ja näitä prompteja vaan putoilee tänne näin, kun vielä Liisa ehdottaa, että Radio DJ Making a Good Meal, mikä kyllä kuulostaa niin omituiselta, että se vie meidät myös sijalle 13. Sieltä löytyy Castles in the Sky. Tää on Yle X:n perjantai-ilta.
All right, so that's a radio DJ making a good meal according to the AI. When I've been showing these examples, there's always been a question, how many people, what is the group of people doing this on the live show? And everything, what you just saw, all the visuals, all the voting system, everything is being run only by the host, only by me. There's not a producer present on Friday night, there's no one present, just me. And all this has been like done in a way that this becomes a one-man show. So to sum up everything, just give the power to your listeners. If you listen to them, you'll hear what they want to have, and then enable meaningful participation, and eventually magic will happen. So thank you very much.
No AI can replace you ever. I make this bet right now. Thank you, Juska, and I think you will have questions at the end, so save them for the Q&A session. And now, for this perfect casting, I'm very happy to welcome on stage a comedian, a podcast producer.
A bad one.
No, you will see that she's more than a good one. And some multi-talented radio fairy. And very happy to welcome you on stage, because I know that you will also energize all the people this morning.
Thank you, Matthew, and hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you and to share this passionate question, which are young ears. And thank you so much, Juska and Alex, because it was like, yo, very good ideas. And so it's really like a pleasure to be here with you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I do, and hopefully I'm going to give you some insight about my point of view, which means like some insight from writing and from the production, and also some ideas of what you can do around a kids podcast. So what I do is I work at France Inter, which is a French national radio, and for 5 years there I've been hosting, writing and producing a history podcast for kids called The Odysseys. The principle is very simple. It's a history podcast for kids, so it's about history and great adventures all over the world. The listener, they are between 7 and 12. It's a family program, as you said, Alex. One of the keys when you address children, especially in that age from 7 to 12, is to try to create a content with both level of reading, so that kids and parents can enjoy it. We have now a collection of 140 episodes, and it started in June 2019, and we have gathered 41 downloads since that day. So obviously the collection has grown, and we do many different collections. There is, of course, the regular episode, the historical content about well-known and little-known characters. Every summer we do literary adaptation, such as the 100,000 Night. I'm saying that well, I think, yes, you got the number. The Arthurian legend, the Iliad, so all the great books in literature. We also do special collaboration with the museum, such as Les Odyssées du Louvre. And since this year, we are starting to do collaboration with the French National Orchestra, the Symphonic Odysseys, where like classical music turned into big adventures. And we also have a kind of a spin-off called Frisson. It means shivering. It's for the little older audience. And basically, it's still about history, but it's about cases that kind of dark and bizarre and strange. So it's for kids who likes to scare themselves. And to give you an idea of what we do, let's hear a small extract from our episode dedicated to Cleopatra. It's subtitled. Let's go. I don't know how to do that. Yes! And play it loud.
C'est une nuit de velours, posée sur la mer, quelques minutes avant le lever du soleil. Au loin, un immense phare brille d'un feu qui ne s'arrête jamais. Nous sommes au nord de l'Égypte, à Alexandrie, ville merveille qui étend ses longs bras de la mer Méditerranée jusqu'au Nil. Et tiens, oh, si l'on pouvait grimper là, maintenant, sur le dos d'un goéland fou, oh, je vous promets qu'on en prendrait, mais alors, plein les mirettes. Oh, ah bah justement, en voilà un. Oh, waouh! Nous volons au-dessus de la ville. Juste en dessous de nous, Alexandrie s'éveille. Ici se croisent tous les peuples de la Méditerranée, des Gaulois, des Macédoniens, des Juifs, des Arabes, des Perses, des Romains. À la fois grecque et égyptienne, Alexandrie est une ville où partout s'élèvent de somptueux bâtiments, des théâtres et des temples spectaculaires. Oh, et là-bas, au nord-est, s'étendent de magnifiques jardins et de riches palais. C'est dans l'an 2, autour de -69, qu'est née Cléopâtre. Et d'ailleurs, oui, oui, c'est elle qui ronfle là. Cléopâtre. 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 Bon, il n'y a pas le choix.
Hein? Quoi? Ah, ça y est, vous êtes là. Mais quelle heure est-il? Oh non, je dois filer à la bibliothèque.
Ah bon, déjà? Mais je viens à peine d'arriver.
Suivez-moi, vous ne serez pas déçus. Allez hop, en route, mauvaise troupe.
Oula, faut que je me grouille. Eh ben, c'est parti.
Sorry for maybe it was a little bit too loud, but then we were really wide open, waking up. At that time when I started the Odysseys 5 years ago, it all started with a big frustration. At that time in France, there were not as many children podcasts as we have now, and also I thought most of the thing I was listening, especially in the historical contents, were kind of too simple, too naive, too wemby-pemby, and so I wanted to take the children very seriously. I wanted to write for them stories as strong, as intense, as breathtaking as the one we were doing for adults, as breathtaking as TV shows, you know, with very high stake of death and life, with a humor, of course, with a dark side too, like beauty, everything. I wanted to do a very elaborate podcast, both in content and form. And so the big question that I had, because I wanted to do something about history, was how to get kids addicted to history. And for that, I had two useful tools, just old as the world. First, the storyline, so a good storyline, and also the power of sound. So let's talk about the storyline, and you already have the slide. I don't know how to do that very well. The first thing I have to do is to transpose history into adventure stories. Then another stuff, which is very history, might be a bit frightening maybe when you address kids because you think it's too complex, but no, it's a very good idea. It's a very good news because history is complex, and complexity, it gives you a good story. So instead of simplifying the content, which one can do when you address children, I try to use the complexity to feed the narrative, and so to turn complexity into plot twist, into suspense. Another thing I do is I mix history and fiction. Of course, when you do a historical podcast, all the facts you have to tell are true, so you deal with truth. But you can write about those facts as if it was fiction, for it to be as strong as fiction. I also, of course, mix historical seriousness with comedy. So there is a lot of jokes, mostly bad jokes, and there is also like a special tone, a kind of quirky, offbeat tone. And another thing which is important is the narrator is clearly identified. I put myself on stage, and so I can interact with the historical character, and they can make love of me, they can make fun of me, and I can make fun of them. So the idea at the end is that the children don't feel that history is such a big stuff far away in the past, but is actually unfolding in front of their ears. Another thing which is very important, the other key ingredient, is the power of sound. So the principle of the Odyssey is that everything is built for it to be a cartoon for the ears. So the principle is that the children has to see everything, every tiny detail of the story through their ears. With the sound designer, Marion Lelay, that's her name, most of the time, like when we do a 15 episodes, 15 minutes episode, we use like at least 70, what is the name, I forgot, sound effect, yes, thank you, Mathieu. Sound effect, and we use like 200 of different music, and also 200 like ambient sound, so we really like put an effort there. And the other thing we do is we have one rule, and it's very important to me, is that we don't use too much childish songs, because the idea is to bring the kids to another world and not to keep them in their life that they know, you know? So after that, the question, of course, is, and for 2 days now, the big question is how to engage with the audience, how do you create a relationship, and what can you do beside the podcast? And so at Radio France, for the Odyssey, we are kind of a classical person. So what we do is we do books. So we did 2 books for kids, and we have a third one that's going to be published this year. And after that, we went even crazier, because we did a theater show. We started in October 2022, and we're still running the show in France and in France, yes. That's it, which is good enough. Of course, the big question when we did a theater show was how to do a real theater show. Not, to do like, oh, it's a podcast going on stage, but to do a real theater show and to have a piece that stands on its own. So we work with a producer, a theater producer, and he really invested into the staging and the decor. I'm going to show you a little clip. There's no word in the clip, but in the show they are. Oh. So it was a 1-hour show, and we were telling 3 adventures. So we have this on stage. We have another piece on stage. I told you about the Symphonic Odysseys. So we're also doing it on stage. This was last January with the National French Orchestra. We did a piece about Mozart. So the idea was to tell kids obviously the life of Mozart while they were hearing like Mozart music. That's the point. And we also do a contest since that year. The Odyssey, the contest, is a challenge for the kids from 10 to 12. It's nationwide. And so we ask schools to, as a team, and in class to write a text, Odyssey, of their own character. And then the winning class is going to come to Radio France to record its own podcast, and we're going to produce it, and then it's going to be distributed with the Odyssey like nationwide. So we have 1,200 classes registered. It's the first year, so we're going to see what's happening. And to hold hands with the class, we're doing 3 online workshops. So, what? Webinars. Thank you. So you can see that's Marion Lelay and Basile Bocquer, our mixers. It's a team. So now we know each other a little bit more. It's time for me to make you some confessions. For 5 years, I've been doing that, and I have discovered that the big problem when you do like kids content, especially when you deal with history, is that you start to become obsessed with the idea that kids has to understand everything. It's not true. I mean, we also want them to understand every tiny detail of things. And I don't know for you, but as an adult, I spend my entire life like not understanding anything to the word, for instance, and it's fine. Nobody is getting nuts about it. So I think we should like give a break to the kids, and it's okay. And I say that from a writer point of view, because when you explain stuff, it just kills your story. So you don't want to do that. Another thing I have to confess, and maybe I shouldn't say that because I am doing a historical content, but in a way, my goal is not to teach kids anything. I don't care if they know about dates and facts. The only thing for me that matters, especially in this really, 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 really bad world, is to give them energy and desire. The only thing that matters, I think, because we just have to fill their hearts, their tank with desire. And my dream is that the listeners, one day, I mean, they're going to open the doors of their houses and tell their parents, oh, okay, you know what? I'm leaving. And maybe you're not going to see me anymore, but it's fine. And to go and live their own adventures. Another thing I really, which is very, very important for me, is that I think the key stuff for me was to think about the podcast for kids as an adult one. So please, if you do kids content, please invest the same amount of time and money and production as the one you do for the adults, because kids can make the difference. And also another key ingredient for me was to try to write and produce without the reflex we have for kids. You know what I mean? Like to think like outside the box, I guess. So that's it. And thank you very much again. And yes, thank you.
Thank you, Laure. You really deserve an Oscar for being the best comedian on stage this morning. We have the time for 2 questions. So if you're not shy, please raise your hand. Yeah, I've got one question in the front row and another one in the back. Let's stay in the back and go in the front. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Katharina from North German Radio. I also do a lot of kids content, and I ask myself and you, what does this cost? With these 200 sound effects and music, it sounds quite expensive.
We have the head of production here, Fanny.
Maybe Fanny, you can grab the mic to answer this question.
It's what I can tell you the time. I don't know the cost, but the time, like to do one episode, it's 3 weeks of work. But about the cost, Fanny.
The cost of what? Of
the production.
Music? Yes, but there is.
An episode. It's hard to tell
I can't
how many
in euros, but I can answer in
hours
of works and in hours of studios. And what do you need to know about? No, we use music.
That's mostly it's music films.
Yes.
And mostly.
But we put it on our radio, and so it's the way
to clean the rights,
to keep the rights, and to pay the artists, because we put it on the radio also.
Mm-hmm. Hello, I'm Bruno, the head of Radio France Studio. We don't have, for Radio France, we have all the staff who work on this project, and it's an investment really important for us, for the biggest radio in France, France Inter, with like 6 million auditors a day, and so it's an investment as information, etc. But after this investment, we work on adaptation too, because we know that these materials is really well done, and after, if people want to make some adaptation internationally, we Lettonia, Lithuania already, we give everything to the international scene, just to know.
Maybe we've got that time for the last question for Alexandra and Yuska. Yes, Fanny. Fanny wants to know more about what's happening in your companies, guys.
No, it's for Alexandra. How do you meet Masha, or how do you choose her?
Actually, I met Masha before before Bravo Kids, because she's so unique girl, and when I realized that I want to have that kind of feature on Bravo Kids, it was like that's only Masha could do, because she's so open-minded. She doesn't have stage fright, and it's easy to work with her. So every time I, for example, know who is the next guests, I call her father. He gave me Masha, and I said, Masha, you know, next week you are having interview with this and this. What do you think? What should you ask him? Oh, okay, I will think about it. And we met 2 hours before that interview and prepared together a show. So Masha is like 90% of her interview.
Thank you, Alexandra. Yuska, Laure, I think you might have many other questions, but I think we need to leave the floor now for the next conference. Please give them a round of applause, warm round of applause. And a warm of applause for Mariana, our very efficient room host.